Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit bewelltexas.org.
Andy, the only thing that says squaring around that touches this body is made by Elite Sports, baby. You know where to get it, elitesports.com. They have a full slate of athletes that they also support. Use code SQUARE, get 10% off. What do you have to say about the fine folks that we got at Elite Sports?
I think the coolest thing about Elite Sports is they have customized stuff for the athletes. I always think it's cool when athletes have their own merch brand, and they've done an incredible job of supporting the athletes at Texas State in the past and in the future. And as NIL gets bigger and bigger, it's important to have a partner that is going to help make sure our athletes stay at Texas State. Elite Sports does that.
My favorite thing is that vintage Ben McClain shirt that I have. They do that stuff from time to time. So I'm going to probably scoop another athlete here in a little bit for these cold months. You know, might as well rock our stuff. Support the brand, elitesports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Jacob, there's a reason they call it home field advantage, and it's because of home field apparel. They make sure that you feel like you have an advantage when it comes to your college and your college brand. Look, they do a great job. I grew up a Minnesota Golden Gopher fan, a West Virginia Mountaineer fan. We're going to get the Texas State gear at some point, but they have so many different colleges. They got hats, they got shirts. You do not want to miss it. And let me tell you, the shirts, immaculate. They are the softest shirts I've ever had, Jacob. They're so great.
I'm not giving up on home field. Neither should you. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Support the brand, baby. I hate playing away games too. You're right. Who would want to sacrifice home field advantage?
I feel like I'm in home field advantage every time I'm wearing home field apparel.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squaring Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. That is Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State sports president. This is a show where we talk about everything happening at Texas State. This week, football's not playing. No surprise to anybody. But big surprise to me, we're not playing a bowl game in December. And especially big for everybody's big for everybody's Christmas plans. We're playing in January, Jan 3rd. We're back at SMU's Gerald Ford Stadium, playing in the ServPro First Responder, not S, Responder Bowl. Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's great. It's great because Jacob has plans for January 6th. So this is good. Get it out of the way. Play a good bowl game. If we played in last year's bowl game, so it's same spot. Jacob's
we get to defend the title, technically.
Yeah,
and that's why we're the home team. Are we building narrative? Yeah, for sure.
I don't think that's the case. Gerald Ford Stadium, where SMU plays. It's a nice stadium. It's a great campus. Last year, we walked around the campus. Yeah, we walked around the campus right when they announced the ACC move, and they had all the ACC signs up, and we're like, look at these losers. They're going to get their asses kicked. And then they played in the ACC championship game. So shout out to them.
Guess what? We predicted the future twice. We said Mac Leftwich was going to get poached to go to Texas Tech. I got Texas Tech fans blowing up our YouTube going, you guys predict the future. But he was literally just like one of the worst, like top 3 worst offenses in Texas. Like, boop, yeah, somebody needs a coordinator in a couple years.
Also, that was the episode that we did when he was on his phone. And it was like vertical the whole time. So it's not like our best episode either. No. So thanks for checking the channel out, boys.
That was before I could do thumbnails really well either. We've a lot of growth in year 2. Happy birthday to Squaring Around. This is our second year covering all things Texas State related since graduating collegiate in the year 2020.
But we have the head coach of men's basketball on this pod. So the way this is going to work, we'll do basketball, and then at the end, we'll do bowl game talk and transfer portal.
Yeah, we just kind of get right into it with Coach Johnson. So if you're not paying attention, you better lock in, bro. It's March. I know it's December, but you better lock in because we are headed on a journey with Coach Johnson. Welcome back to the show, everybody. This week, we're joined by Coach Terrence Johnson, the head coach of the men's basketball team at Texas State. Coach Johnson, I am so glad to talk to you. Last year, I talked to you, I guess it was probably like a month or two, at this time last year. We're still writing about football stuff back then. But then immediately after that, your team dealt with a number of health issues and just challenges. So I feel like this season is kind of a long time coming for you. You're yourself, taking over the team and then just having to deal with a lot of stuff like that. But to your credit, I think you're the coach on campus who doesn't make any excuses ever. You guys have always kind of showed out in the Sun Belt tournament and risen to the occasion, regardless of circumstance.
Yeah, I think you just got to be that way. Nobody, when people ask you how you doing, they don't really want to know. They just don't know what else to say. Nobody wants to really figure out how you doing. I mean, the minute you start telling them, it was like, damn, why did I even ask? I got somewhere to go. This person, all he do is complain. Oh, your life ain't no worse than mine. So nobody really wants to know. So people don't really want to know what we have going on. So
we do, Coach. We want to know. What's
I
going
care
on
about you, Coach.
Yeah. It just makes for good commentary. A good story. Just so so you can talk about the testimony. But it's all good. So there's no excuses to be made. All of these guys have come here because they believe that at some point, they can have a moment that could be a lasting memory. And sometimes those moments come in some rather unexpected ways, and it may come as a result of somebody's injury, and they may have to step up. But that's been the story of sports our whole lives. The only reason that Tom Brady is because Drew Bledsoe didn't slide. If Drew Bledsoe slides, you might not know Tom Brady. And when he took that hit on that sideline, you just knew that he wasn't coming back in the game. And then once you saw Tom Brady, you knew he would never be playing again. So that's just how it goes in sports. So it is definitely a next man up mentality. And I appreciate the fact that these guys have stepped up and played that role.
Well, you talk about a good story. Tell us a good story. What's the story of the season, or what's at least the story for your side of things coming into the season?
Well, I think the story for the season for us has just been the same thing that it's been for the last 3 years, just finding a way. The only thing that's happening this season is it's happening earlier. There are times in which it takes us a while to find out some things about our guys. We've dealt with injuries this season. I mean, Colton Benson, with his torn MCL, you talk about Dylan Dawson with his shoulder coming out of place and him being shelved. You're talking about Mark Drone, somebody who averaged 16 points a game, not being able to play. I'm a Frank Emu, somebody who played 14 minutes a game at his last school and they averaged 7.9 points a game in 14 minutes. We had guys that we thought that were going to be pretty good for us, So, but at the same time, you got people like Drew Drennan who's shooting a career high from beyond the arc after being out or away from basketball for roughly about a year and a half almost. If you just talk about real time, you got Tyrell who sat out a whole year last year dealing with a torn MCL. So it's just us overcoming adversity a little bit sooner. It just shows the resilience in these guys. Also, it shows the toughness of the program and the mindset of the program. So I'm excited about the direction of the guys. I'm excited about the maturity and the development and the connectivity. So,
man, what do we need to do? Because it seems like there's always injuries happening, brother. We need to get some holy water. We got demons or what?
Man, you know what? The injuries happened when we won our first championship as well. You look at the first championship, the second championship. We had Darian Jenkins being injured. Who struggled to play. We had Quentin Scott who was on the injury. So we had injuries then. I think the difference is some of those key players remain healthy. You remember Marlon Davis ended up tearing his ACL towards the end of the season, our first championship. So the majority of those guys, the Shelby Adams, the Isaiah Smalls, the Caleb Asbury's, the Mason Harrells, those guys stayed healthy for the majority of the season.
So it's just making sure your key guys are hitting the training room, making sure they're not getting hurt. But man, we talk about depth all the time in basketball, and it seems like this team every year comes in with a lot of depth. But by March, we come into the tournament, it's like, oh man, next man up. We got like 7 guys who can like play.
Yeah, it's a physical game. We play a physical game, to be honest with you. And then these games are coming around pretty fast. So your resting, your recovery time just seems to be a little bit shorter and shorter every year. I thought we rested a little bit different during COVID. We had those 2 back-to-back games on Friday and Saturday, but we also took off additional days because Monday was just a shoot around day. So we just practiced Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, as opposed to going 4 days. So just finding a way how to manage these guys' body is important.
No. Well, you mentioned kind of like that next man up mentality. Last year, we got to see a lot of guys kind of grow up quick, like kind of forced to. You mentioned last year in a few press conferences, just like the impact of Drew being out and Tyrell being out, like those like on-court leaders having to see everybody else kind of try to share that load was tough, So what have you seen, I guess, like year to year? Because it felt like that culture was there last year, but now it's like obviously evident,
Yeah, it's a difference. I mean, last year we had good players. We did. But we lacked a certain level of leadership. We had one senior, and that senior being a transfer that didn't really understand the culture of our program from afar. I think there was a level of appreciation, but didn't know how to per se drive the bus, at the critical times. But when you have somebody like Drew and Tyrell, guys, if that you've won a championship with, when you say something in a huddle and they echo that, it means something, because they, as opposed to you have some young guys that are just saying something that they hadn't won a championship here, they hadn't been through some of the wars that we've been through together. So it does make a difference to have those guys back.
Well, Tyrell Morgan came up with a great saying last year, and he said, "Don't let go of the rope." And then I think at halftime, these guys were saying, "Pick up the rope." Because sometimes you got 1 or 2 guys letting go of the rope, and then sometimes no one even has the rope. So we have to pick it up before we can not let it go.
You mentioned that they created a phrase, "Don't let go of the rope." What does that mean to you? Or like what, I guess, has that like meant coming into these kind of like tight games that you've ended up winning?
Yeah, that's a Tyrell Morgan thing. He would say that all the time last year to these guys. You find something that resonated with them and just told them, don't let go of the rope. So, we just feel like if everybody's pulling the rope in the right direction, then we'll be tough to beat. So it's a high level of connectivity. And then we've all every year we go to U Camp, we do a low ropes course, and that's kind of like where it got coined from, and everybody started talking about it. And we say don't let go of the rope. So we it's one of those things that reminds us that we're all we got, and we need to stick together.
It's a really good phrase.
You got takers. I like that. Don't let go of the rope. I feel like this basketball team's iconic. Always has been. Always will be.
I'll tell you, I like don't let go of the rope a lot more than I like takers.
Well, Takers had his moment, to be honest with you. When at that time, when we came up with that, we were picked last in the conference, and OJ Black and Caven Gilder Tilbury felt slighted. And then you had a guy that nobody really knew a whole lot about, but that was an absolute dog just coming in to it. And the Sun Belt got introduced to Nigel Pearson early on, so we had some guys that really took that personal, felt like it was disrespectful. So it kind of took off, and those guys played like it. So they almost took Takers all the way to the to the tournament and almost won it if we didn't come up 6 points short of beating Troy.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. We talk about the one moment for these guys, and I've always said that like the biggest moment is that like one shining moment. Do you ever think when we come into these tournaments, because Texas State might have a so-so regular season, tournament time, they make a big jump, or we have a very good regular season, and tournament time, things kind of don't shake out the way don't shake out the Bobcats' way. Is it something about this group that you feel can like put both together? Like, hey, we're going to take an excellent non-con, a good conference, and now make a push. Do you see that there's like a difference, or do you like Is there a difference in those type of groups?
Yeah, that's a great question, but that is the goal. What you just said is the goal. I mean, for the last 2 years, we come in as the 11th seed and found a way how to win 3 games, and then the 2 years before that, we came in as the 1 seed and found a way how to lose the first game. So,
I don't want to bring up bad memories, but
yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But if you can find a way how to put those two together, you can go in as a top 4 seed and win 3 games. Then you find yourself dancing. And I think our guys understand that, and they know that it's in the back of their head. But I tell you what it does is it lets you know that you've been through both wars. You know what I'm saying? So you know that you can come out on the other side. So like there isn't anything that we haven't been able to do except for put it together. So it's one of those things that we need to be conscious and focus on, and that's putting it together. It doesn't need to be pressure. We just need to understand that the job is not finished, the job isn't done. We need to put both of those together.
Non-conference schedule this year, Coach. Texas State in years past, at least from a fan perspective, has kind of gotten some grief about, oh man, they're playing cupcake games. They come in, they win a bunch of these non-conference games, then they go into conference play. And that's really, this year it feels like the non-con schedule is really good. The games against TCU, a game against a really good Rice team. When you put together that non-conference schedule, what was kind of the thought process behind that?
I'm not gonna lie. If we had a cupcake schedule, I need to know when, because last year we played Texas, we played Houston, and we played Oklahoma. And at one point in time, I think all of those 3 teams were ranked in like the top 10 in the country. So before that, we played Cal, we played Rhode Island, we played Hawaii. I mean, I'm looking for a cupcake schedule, to be honest with you. I really am. So
talk about it. That's fine.
I don't know if we've had one in a while, but obviously we play Sam Houston. If you look at some of the non-conference teams that we played last year, and judging from the ones that won their conference or were competitive in their conference, even you talk about Sam Houston, you talk about Little Rock. Little Rock won their conference. Sam Houston won their conference. I mean, we scrimmage, we even scrimmage La Tech, who was right there to win their conference. So we try to remain competitive, because we understand how difficult the Sun Belt Conference is. Now this year, it's the luck of the draw. We didn't know who we were going to play in that tournament. We ended up playing, Bradley, who's picked to win their conference. We ended up playing Princeton, who's picked to win their conference. We ended up playing Ohio, who's picked to win their conference. We didn't choose that. It just fell that way. And at the end of the day, you're going to get a good opponent in ACU, who's always going to be good. Texas Southern, who once they get into conference play, that's going to be good. So the idea is to prepare for conference play, and the idea is to try to get as many wins as possible. So you're going to see us playing 1 or 2 91s every year. We got to play some guys that's going to help us pay some bills around here. So we'll play some TCUs and A&M and things of that nature. But our guys come here because they know that they're going to play a competitive a competitive schedule.
You said that in such a nice way, because I would have just been like, what are you guys talking about? Like,
yeah,
I see it on the internet.
Cupcake. I am looking for the cupcake, man. I'm find it, and man, we're looking for those teams. Those teams don't play us. So we have to kind of play some pretty difficult non-conference teams.
This is good, though, because it's like set the record straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, everything is about a narrative. But if you go back and you look at it and you really dive into numbers, anybody will tell you, man, we play anybody. They know what it is.
You tell them what time you'll show up.
And they know, we're going to play. We're going and we'll see what happens.
Who's impressed you in non-conference?
On our team or just in our conference?
Let's do both. What team has impressed you the most that you've gone up against? And then who has impressed you, an individual player on your team?
Hands down, Bradley's one of the best teams we've ever played. Ever. I mean, when it comes down to their coaching, when it comes down to their scheme, when it comes down to their players, that is probably one of the best non-conference teams we've played that's not a Power 5 team. I mean, that was impressive. They are really, really good. And I meant that when I said that day. They do a phenomenal job. Obviously ACU did a really, really good job of guarding us. We didn't have 5 guards, but at the same time, they completely took advantage of it. So that was a tough game for us. And then I thought Sam Houston probably gave us the biggest trouble of a non-conference mid-major team before Bradley, and that was not just past year Sam Houston. Well, what Jason Hooten's last year there. So Bradley was the best non-conference team that we played since Sam Houston. Player-wise, on our team or on the other teams?
On our team. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I can tell you that joker from Princeton was, man, he was a
I watched that.
Nice.
I watched that Princeton game. Yeah,
he was about a bucket. So respectfully so. But on our team, I would say, and I don't want to speak on this too much because I want to keep going, but Drew Driffin's ability to shoot the ball in non-conference has been elite. I mean, the shots that he's taken, his ability to shoot it at the level in which he's shooting it. And then, man, I think, I don't want to talk about this anymore, but Tylen's Pope's ability to make this level of an adjustment this quickly on, it's been pretty good, to be honest with you. A lot of times you get transfers, it might take him a little bit, but he's had 2 career highs here in the top first 8 games or so. So that's saying a lot. And Christian Turner's gotten a whole lot better. He's comfortable in our system now, and he's starting to show, and he's improved his jump shot. So we got a lot of things we're knocking on wood about that we don't want to stop. So
yeah, no,
it's kind of like in baseball. Yeah,
I told Coach Proctor that last year I had picked Texas State to finish 3rd in the Sun Belt. And he was like, "Don't pick us that high ever again." I was like, "Oh, my bad. I didn't know that was the whole thing."
Yeah, we don't.
This year I didn't write about y'all at all. So there you go.
Yeah, and we're good with that. I think the biggest thing for us is to keep our feet under the table. A lot of times, we guys start reading about themselves and hearing about themselves, and they forget that you don't stop swimming in the middle of the pool. So you got to get to the end.
A lot of coach talk right there. A lot of coach talk. Yeah. Keep our feet underneath the table. Don't swap. I love that. That's cool stuff. Good stuff.
This is
what
you don't get.
Going.
This is what you don't get at the football press conferences, though. Coach Johnson, I think you've always been the best at speaking into the mic. You could probably have your own podcast, to be honest with you.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You guys make it look easy, so you make me comfortable. So I guess that's what it is.
No, but I guess going back to that whole strength of schedule conversation, I just think people aren't watching enough. And I know there's a big push to get people into Strand to watch the team, because this team deserves fans around it. Have y'all seen just from the community thus far? I know it's kind of like the end of the semester too, so it's different vibes too.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The thing about basketball is it's the time that it starts. First of all, we're just getting going. We're super excited, while football is pretty much at its apex. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get in a bowl season, so all of those games matter, and I do understand that. And then you turn around, and when we're getting in a conference play, people are home and still eating leftover turkey, things, Christmas food. So then when they get back, they're excited about basketball. So usually the excitement starts on the other side of January. But at the same time, we appreciate everything that administration and communication is doing around here. We just got to figure out a way how to keep that buzz going by stringing together some wins.
Well, I'll say the worst part, I think, of COVID, not only everybody dying, but we had a lot of momentum, man. I felt like there was a ton of momentum for the basketball program. That place was getting rowdy. It felt like a basketball school. It felt like there was a real push. And then all that just kind of came to a halt. And now it feels like we're trying to build that back up again. And because Jacob and I both can attest, we loved going to basketball games. That was I think my favorite sport to go to at Texas State was being baseline, watching the games, yelling at the players, yelling at the cheerleaders to get the hell out of the way. It was a great time.
We had some great momentum, we're trying to regenerate that, to be completely honest with you. So you are spot on. So if you guys got any ideas of what we need to do to get this thing going, please let me know. So
Well, first
that's
off,
why you're on the
got some
show.
ideas. Got some ideas. I got some ideas. All right. So they had the blackout idea was incredible. That was a really good one. Conference play. If you can get those like themes for the conference, love that. And get the cheerleaders the hell out of the way when they're sitting baseline. Like I'm standing there and we only have 2 cheerleaders I've ever seen who are like 6'5", 250. And somehow they both end up standing right where I always sit. And it's like, what are we doing?
I feel like it was targeted at some point to Zimmel because I never had that same problem, but I'm also a different height. You know, I'm a short basketball fan.
I'm not kidding.
Right, well,
it's a one male cheerleader. What are we doing? Like, I'm trying to see a game and I see the hair on your chest or your back, bro. Like, keep it moving.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do about that. You know, not the hair on his back, but more of the the blackout game. You know,
It was cool to see just the turnout after the Jeff Foster court dedication. Shout out Jeff Foster, but also because y'all were doing the half court shot for tuition challenge too. So obviously everybody rolls out for that, and there was a bunch of people there for that too. But winning games is fun. I guess a debate that we had covering the football side is like, what comes first, like the fans in the stands, or like wins, or like what has to, you know what I'm saying? What do you think has to happen?
yeah, that's a great question because in football it looks like the energy generated before the season and at the confidence that everybody spoke about how good the football team would be. And there was always constant belief no matter what happened. Like, hey, yeah, we lost, but we look better than we did a year ago, So it was always one of those things to where is, hey, we got a good player, So I think the media buzz and the confidence that everybody around here had in football, it kept the belief going. So there's nothing bigger and better than belief, when it comes down to sports. So fans tend to go because they believe that their teams have a chance to win, and then, teams tend to play well when they believe that they have a chance to win because they're looking at the fans believing in them. So belief is important, and that's what we need. We need belief, and we need confidence, and we need people speaking life into our players, and also we need our players playing their hardest so they can breathe confidence into the community to come out and support.
And I can tell you this, if Brett Freeman does an incredible job on ESPN Plus, if you have a chance to go to a basketball game, you should, because the rest of the broadcasters in this conference stink. I'm so sick of hearing about Texas State getting root. It's a root against every game I watch. I watched that Princeton game, and it's like, why are we rooting for Princeton? Why are we rooting for the Ivy League school? What is going on here? So go to the games based solely on the fact that you don't want to watch from your house.
I love it. Yeah, Brand does a great job, both he and Coach Fox.
That's crazy. Well, so the transfer portal world, the NIL world, how's that all treating you? Or what have you seen kind of year to year since all this stuff has rolled out?
Yeah, I think it's very fluid. I think at the end of the day, I think that you have to come in with a malleable mindset, that you're going to have to kind of go with the times and adjust. Things are not exactly as they seem. And I don't think that you can get fixated on one aspect of it. I think you have to be flexible, and I think you have to be willing to set aside your ego. There are some things that may be important to these young men, more important to these young men than playing time. There are some things that may be more important to these young men than culture. And then on the flip side of that, there are some things that may be more important to these young men than money. So it's all depends on who you're talking to and at what stage of their life that they're at. I think that that's very important. You look at a guy that's been out of school and transferred and did these things and still looking for an opportunity to be showcased as a particular type of player. And then you look at a guy that's been showcased as a particular type of player that's leaving that situation because he feels like he's undervalued from a financial standpoint. So those guys end up switching positions, So it's one of those things that happen. We pretty much traded players with Nevada, So that's basically what we did. So it's a real life trade that happened in college sports.
That's crazy. That has to make your job more difficult.
It's challenging. It really is, especially when you're a purist and when you consider yourself a coach, and a leader of men, and trying to shape these guys' lives about what's important. And then, for me, if commitment doesn't mean anything now, then I don't know how much it's going to mean when you're acting somebody's father, for their daughter's hand in marriage, or when you have a responsibility to your namesake, to do whatever you need to do to make sure that they have a roof over their head, they're fed, and they're cared for. So, we always try to teach life lessons through the game of basketball, and it makes it a little bit more difficult at this point to do that.
Did you ever want to become a GM? Because I feel like the role of general manager of like a sporting program and the head coach of a basketball team are two completely different things.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that's one of the best hires that people are making at this time. It's to hire a GM. You need that just so you can coach. But I've never wanted to become a GM. The only GM that I know is that I want is to see the next morning. So good morning to you guys right now. So I don't want to have nothing to do with being a GM at all, man. It's just not my flavor. It's just not, man. That's a tough job.
I need you to come on to this show once a week just for those like one-liners. Those are the best things
No
ever.
kidding.
Oh my gosh. No, but I can't and sometimes I try to put myself in these athletes' shoes, which is hard for me as a 5'7" man. But it's different too, as you're saying, like in terms of like their lives, where they see themselves in the game of basketball and also beyond. Because it's like, well, if I'm not going to make it to the next level, or I don't want to play overseas, maybe I can try to get a bag somewhere else, or maybe I can try to shop around and see what I can get through basketball, through education, through whatever, in a situation. And we're finding out in football, and we'll talk about this when we're not talking to Coach Johnson, but, transfer portal's open right now. People are looking around and things are changing. But yeah, it's just a different world we live in.
It definitely is.
I just couldn't imagine being a coach. And this has to happen at Texas State, but it's happened in other schools where a guy jumps to the transfer portal, looks around, then comes back. Because there's no like comp to that. If I was dating a girl and she's like, hey, I think we should break up, and then like 6 weeks later goes, hey, I checked everything else out, this is probably the best I can do, I can come back, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I don't want you around no more. But as a coach, you kind of have to be like, hey, we really need that, sharpshooting six man. Come on back, have a seat, Like it's just, it's the world's different, and it does take a little bit of luster off of it. Because I love college athletics, and it just feels like the college athletics that I grew up with is like changing very rapidly, and I don't know if it's changing for the better.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the thing. You guys have heard the term said about college sports before, like you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So now, so real quick, so my parents, right? My mom and my dad, they had they disagreed on something. When it came down to me, I had a job for like 2.5, 3 weeks. The minute I turned 16, my mom was like, hey, you're going to get your job. You're going to understand the value of $1. You're going to soon be a man. You're going to contribute to this household. This is what men do. Like, you're going to get a job. So my experience with that job was at Wendy's in New Orleans on St. Charles Avenue, flipping burgers and fries and all of this stuff. And it was extremely difficult. Or then basketball season comes around. I'm like, man, now I got to figure out how I'm going to go from, work or school, basketball practice to work, and then do that all over again the next day. So I got a little bit overwhelmed, like around week 3, and I stopped going. And I just told my dad, I was like, man, Dad, I don't think I want to do this. I think I want to quit. So he says, man, once you start working, you won't stop. So if you need to enjoy being a kid. He said, I'm going to take care of, your mother and I will take up your needs, and we'll take care of most of your wants, but my mom and my dad weren't together. So, I got that okay from my dad. And of course, I didn't tell my mom for another week or two when she figured out that she hadn't brought me to work in 2 weeks. So my mom was really upset. So she calls my dad and she was like, that's not, I'm trying to raise a man here and he needs to learn the responsibilities. Both of them were right. In college athletics right now, I think both are right. Should the young men receive some level of compensation, young men and young ladies receive some level of compensation for their name, image, likeness? You are absolutely right. Should they also have an opportunity to learn and respect what commitment is because it's going to help them be more productive citizens? Yes, both are right. What we need to figure out is not the fact that how to be right, but how to do right. So we got to figure out how to bring this together and to have it work for I guess the longevity of what college sports and athletics is, because this model is not sustainable. In my opinion, like I don't know how this model is going to be sustainable. So I do believe that name, image, likeness, that these young men and young women need to be compensated. But I also believe that the current model, which is the pay for play model, is not very healthy for what it is we're doing.
That was incredible. Good job.
That's why Coach Johnson's on the show, man, and that's why I ride so hard for you, Coach. I guess what I wanted to talk to you about is like just that culture thing, because that's obviously huge to you. It's huge to Coach Z as well on her side. But like with all this kind of transitional stuff, like how much do you think that impacts culture, in terms of just a recruiting class, number one, but also just like your entire program pretty much?
Yeah, it just it waters it down if you allow it to. So, we have a saying in sports where we say keep the main thing the main thing. So our focus is controlling the controllables and keeping the main thing the main thing. So we have to tap into the very core of these guys and try to get them all in alignment. And that's hard, especially when some guys are maybe receiving some level of compensation, when some guys may be already looking at the transfer portal, when some guys have friends or quote unquote, agents that are trying to pull them in different directions. We have to fight like hell to keep them focused on one thing. And that one thing, we meet in the middle and we meet at culture. So it's a lot of work that goes in. It's a lot of time that's spent. It's a lot of conversations that's had, but it's purposeful and it's necessary. And if you're going to have any kind of resemblance of a team in this era, you can't do it without culture.
I'm good, man. That was like, I'm still absorbing the Wendy story. I mean, it's it is something else. It really is, because
Well, you see it at every level too, because I think Oklahoma or one of those schools like made a super team to win the cross country nationals this year. So they got guys from New Mexico State. It's everywhere. It's not just football. It's not just basketball. Those are obviously the big headline grabbers, but you're seeing it across all of college athletics now. So.
And I'm not going to lie to you. If I fell into a large sum of money, I was looking at houses in Austin, like $15-16 million houses. I'd turn that around and try to win a conference championship for Texas State like that. Like, I'd be like, let's go buy a team, bro. TJ, tell me who we need. What do we want to go get? All right, we want that guy. Let's go throw it back. I'm not going to lie to you. I would be trying to exploit the system, too, if I was a big money guy.
Yeah. Soon, we're speaking it into existence. We're speaking life into us becoming big money donors.
Hey, I got them scratchers, Coach.
I love it, man. Keep scratching away, man. Keep scratching away. I saw somebody won the lottery for a second time in one of those states last week. I said, golly, for a second time, you're showing your face again? So if I won the lottery for a second time, you would never know that I won it the first time. So I would. That's
a trend. That's a trend on social media. What would be the no? You wouldn't tell anybody no, you would know, but there'd be like signs. What would be the signs if you won the lottery?
Me personally,
yeah.
I'm going to call in and work, which I never do that. So if they say, man, TJ's been gone for 2 weeks on a vacation, be like, God, dog, he must have won that damn lottery. So because that's one thing I cannot do is relax. So, but I'll find some kind of way to relax.
There you go. All right.
You still watch film if you win the lottery? You have to, right?
Yeah, I will. I will. I'm still going to do that because I really really enjoy that. But that's something totally different. There's some things that I'm not going to do, and that's probably coming to work the next day. So for
That's
sure.
so good. That's
Yeah.
so good.
Well, sweet, coach. What else do people have to know before you guys get into conference play about this team, about what you guys are trying to do this year?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do, to be honest with you, is one thing that I think has been consistent is living the now. Had a conversation with Coach Benson over the summer, and he just said, "Man, I said, man, what happened last year?" He said, "Man, it just was a sense of urgency. Like we all committed to just staying in the moment. In the moment." He was like, "Man, everybody was like, man, it's now or never." I said, "There it is, Coach." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You just said it. That's what the theme is for this year." He said, "Now?" I said, "Yeah, no opportunities wasted." He said, "You're right. We got 16 years and 5 juniors. Like this is all of our time. You got guys that have been out for a year plus. There's no opportunities wasted. So um, right now, I just think our focus is on being present, being intentional, and we're getting better. We really are. We're still making some mistakes that I think are correctable, but it's exciting to see the growth, the development, the maturation, the level of commitment that they have to playing together. Man, we're sharing the ball. We really are, guys. We are moving the ball. Like you're talking about a team. I think we've had like 5 different guys already reach their career highs. Man, that is unheard of in 10 games. So these guys, they don't care who get the credit. Man, it just feels really, really good to have a group of guys in the locker room that's not trying to kill a coach and kill each other. Not from a standpoint of literally, but just
No.
saying visceral things about each other. So just having that level, and nobody's talking about what they're doing next year. So that was just some of the things that we've had to deal with. Just fighting that kind of as they say, um, get some guys that love basketball, not just love basketball culture. So figuring out who those guys are and how to tap into those things and kind of empower those guys. So we've empowered the right guys this year, and I think that that's going to mean something down the stretch of conference play.
This is going to be the most quotable podcast, I think, in the history of Squaring Around. This is amazing. You're putting on a clinic. This is awesome.
I would lose my mind if I was in the locker room and I heard somebody talking about next year after we like lost a game to Coastal.
Yeah.
I'd lose my mind. So you're a better man than me.
Yeah, man, it's been tough, but we got some guys that are living in the moment.
And I appreciate these guys right here. Last year around this time, I was just wishing I had guys like this that responded. And these guys responded. They were challenged at half, and they came out and they responded. These guys have blood, sweat, and tears. And they have equity built up in this program. And to be completely honest with you, they got one goal, and that's to leave this place better than they found it. And they found it in a pretty good condition.
That's why it's so cool to hear you talking about after that huge win against Rice. Like this time last year, you were praying that you had guys like you have now, because I know like the past 2 years have been rough, it's not been easy by anybody's, imagination. So,
Yeah.
But then they win these games in March. So it's just like a head scratcher. It's
Yeah,
like,
because they start coming around, and that's the thing, so that's. I tell these guys all the time, and we'll become a good team when you get me out of the way. When you're able to, like my high school principal would say, govern yourselves accordingly. So when you're able to do that, when you can self-correct, when your my bad isn't the same my bad every day, so I just think that by the time we get to conference play, a lot of guys, they just stop fighting what it is and they accept. They say, well, hell, I tried it your way and we goddamn, you know, 11 and 17, so, let me just see, I'm trying it my way and we 11 and 17. Let me try it your way. And then, we look up, we win 3 more games. So
you're driving me crazy. These guys are driving me crazy
I know.
because we go into March every year and it's like golly, really? Then we win 3 games and we lose the final one. You're like, the hope, it was there. Like, it just crushes me.
Yeah, it's hard to win that many games, and we played 3 games. We played 4 games in 5 days.
Mhm.
So, a lot of times that, it can take a toll on you, whether or not it be Tyrell Morgan's body completely locking up and him not being able to finish the game, or, Mason Harrell got blood leaking from his eye and his nose, or just whether or not we just don't have we just don't have the stamina to complete the last 5 minutes of the game versus JMU. No legs on some of those shots. Jordan Mason had an incredible game versus Troy, and we exhausted a lot. That was an absolute war. But then what you get for winning that war, you gotta battle against JMU the next day. So
Cut this part, Jacob.
That
The
whole
2-man game, man. Golly.
that whole team was so good.
that was a good team.
That was
Alex
so good.
Peacock.
good
Oh
team.
my God, dude.
Yeah,
Isaiah Small is still one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah, Zay is a guy. So and that's another thing. Like, I think this team was blessed because Isaiah and 12 came back this summer, and they spent a lot of time here. They spent over a month here with these guys. The culture, letting them know about me, working out with them, being at practice, participating. Like, those guys invested, because they saw what happened the year before. They said, hey, we're going to come back. Mason stayed at my house. He had a key to my house. Isaiah was over there by Drew and Tyrell, just working with them, just about what their level of responsibility was going to be. So just the investment in the program is trying to get these guys where this program needs to be is I think it makes a difference.
God, I'm ready to run through a brick wall for you, Coach. I'll be honest.
Oh man, let's do it. I'm gonna run through it with you. Let's do it together, man.
Yeah. Well, sweet. Well, that was really all that we wanted to talk to you about, Coach. We appreciate your time. Yeah. Good luck on.
Do you want to do this again? Did we make this? Was this a good environment? Would you do this again with us, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But I have fun talking to you guys. You guys make it easy, man. So it's good stuff. You know what you're talking about. You know your history about Texas State and Texas State athletics, as well as Texas State basketball. I love your energy. And man, I like seeing young guys that are passionate about what they do. And that's not waiting for a handout. That's gonna go out. And I know you don't like takers, but man, what you're doing is you're taking advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you. So I'm rooting for you, man. Keep doing what you do.
Yo, this is amazing. The next thing I write for Dave Campbell is I'm just gonna follow Coach Johnson around. And just as he walks into Mochas and Javas dropping knowledge bombs, I'm just gonna be right there with a pen and paper. This is amazing.
Nah, man. Shout out to you guys. You guys keep doing what you're doing, man. This university needs more guys like you. So you guys got a special platform. So continue to use it in the way that you're doing.
We'll talk in February. We'll come back in February and we'll give a preview for March.
Can't wait. I'll be here.
Sure.
Dude, we're gonna win the Sun Belt.
Off vibes alone.
Off vibes alone. And me
This team's
speaking
a lot better. I'll say this. This team, I've watched the whole Princeton game. I went back and watched the whole Rice game. And I've watched highlights from every game. That's what I did this morning during the show. I think this team is a lot better than years prior. However, A, not winning in March. They've never been able to get the hump in March. And B, the injury bug. Because these two things combined have been the pain in the side of Texas State for the past 5 years, 3 years at least. So I'm hoping
these guys need to do what they've always were supposed to do, which is go into the tournament as a relatively high seed. We're talking between 1 and 3.
1 and 4.
1 and 4. Get at least 1 bye, and then you only have to win 2. That's what they need to do in Andrew's favorite city, Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah, that's the other thing. In New Orleans, all right, you're losing games. Okay. Pensacola, there's nothing to do in Pensacola. Just get the wins. Just win the games.
Yeah,
so
you know what you
it
do
is
if you
more difficult.
lose? If you lose in Pensacola, you just watch the rest of the tournament. That
Here's the
doesn't
deal.
sound like a fun time to me.
It doesn't sound like a fun time at all. I would say this. We talk about the non-conference. This non-conference is very good. Last year's non-conference is a little bit better. You think to yourself, like, can we schedule some games back to back? Just get them in the mode of like playing back to back games like that. I don't know how you built that.
Okay, for everybody that hasn't been watching this, and obviously this is like the after part where we just got through talking to Coach Johnson, but for the longest time, like once football has like a couple bye weeks, and this year, they lost a lot of games, so people kind of lost interest in football.
What? I don't think that's true
They
at all.
lost the same amount of games that they lost last year, right? So people started clicking the channel and going, you know what? Let's tune in some Bobcat basketball.
That's not true. That didn't
happen.
happen.
They're looking at the scoreboard and they're like, okay, Eastern Michigan, McMurray, lost to TCU, lost to Abilene Christian. Who the heck is Bradley? And so then they start doing this math. I don't know. The way Coach Johnson
do your research. Bradley's good.
Bradley is pretty good.
Princeton's really good.
Also pretty good too.
But in that Princeton game, I'm telling you, it was another example of them rooting against Texas State on the call. I don't understand. I don't get it.
And your favorite player, Colton Benson, is hurt. I thought I said that wrong last week because he played in a game. I think he played in the win over Rice. So he's playing through injuries. The whole team's a little banged up. But that's what happens when you're playing these like early December-ish games.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, they look really good right now, 7-3. Conference begins like next week. The 21st is the first conference game. So we'll go through conference. If you have a chance to go to a game, you should, for sure.
Yeah, that win of Rice, if you got to see that in person, I'm sure that was really special. I wish I was able to see that. I was running a marathon. I'm a little bit of an athlete myself. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you to my buddy Tristan, who came out. And thank you to Tristan's girlfriend, who also came out. Shout out, Maddie. We didn't take a picture together. Boop, 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 boop. Are you
Texas
surprised?
State's bowl game.
Are you surprised that we're headed back to the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl?
A little bit. I think that the way that this works is that they have all of like the 7-5 teams, 8-4 teams in like kind of a bowl, right? And then you go and you think to yourself, which one of these is going to get us the most people to come? Okay, so Alamo Bowl has the Pac-12 champion or the runner-up normally, and then they have like the Big 12 runner-up. So like they probably want schools like BYU in Colorado. You look at the First Responders Bowl, and it's normally you get a Texas school and you get an out-of-state school sometimes, maybe Eastern, it's kind of part of the state, southeastern part of the state. You kind of bring those two together, right? So normally what these bowl games are, 7-5 teams, 8-4 teams, you put them in a hat. You're kind of looking for a school that is going to sell out your stadium or going to travel very well. It makes sense for North Texas. And you think about those guys, the First Responder Bowl, we were great last year. Drank them out of the stadium, had a great showing, made them look really good on TV, gave them extra press throughout the rest of the year. They probably want Texas State and UNT. Hey, in the neighborhood, they're going to be well, like around. Rice traveled well last year. UNT, it's in their backyard. They're probably going to be pretty excited to be in this one. Yeah, I think it's a good bowl game. I think it's exciting.
Yeah. I think Kelly came onto our show and said that we were like the most watched bowl game like that day on ESPN, period. Like we were the most watched athletic event. I want to say that he said. If I'm wrong, look it up on the Squarin Around YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But, also, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Please do all that stuff because our channel's been seriously lacking. But we've been up on views. But hit a subscribe button, bro. Help us out. But anyway, I thought that was insane. But also, I guess not really surprised.
So are you happy? Are you happy with UNT? Because I can talk about.
I really didn't want to go to Albuquerque. I'll be frank, and I really didn't want to go to Shreveport when that was being floated around. I was like, "Oh hell no, Shreveport!"
I can tell you, and we can open up about it now because right now we are scheduled both to be there. So we will have like meet and greet. We'll talk about it more next week when we lead up to the bowl game.
Yeah,
but Jacob and I both said, if this game's in like Albuquerque,
if we end up playing Army,
do we really want to go like Shreveport? Like, yeah, we both work. What does it look like? But now that it's in Dallas, I've had a bunch of people hit me up about being there, that they're going to go to the game, that they were going to go to the game anyway, but we're going to be there, so that helps. Bring them there.
If you're booking your travel plans around me and Zimmel, we will be there.
We will be there. Well, and I do think that there are some people who
I
are
apologize
excited,
to
right?
your wives in advance.
Yeah. So, but I think that that's fair. I think that people come to see Kef. They come to see Kef. So I imagine they probably come to see us.
I'm leaving that in there.
And they lost their starting quarterback, Chandler Morris, decided to go back in the portal. He's got connections to Texas State.
His daddy?
Well, I feel like I'm your daddy.
I don't know, man.
His daddy?
I've done all of it. I am all y'all's daddy.
Not my daddy.
You're not my daddy.
Hush, now I'm your daddy.
You ain't my daddy boy.
Yes, I am.
I don't see that happening. He was a quarterback for TCU. I don't know if he's coming to Texas State. If that does happen, congrats. I hated Chandler Morris at TCU.
We just got through this whole like beautiful conversation about the transfer portal, the NIL situation. A lot of fluidity with Coach Johnson. He put it in such an eloquent way. But like, if you're looking at like the transfer portal as like a
is that it? Is that in our bowl game talk? Is that where we're leaving the bowl game talk? We'll circle back to it when we get closer to the game.
I mean, who gives a they play in January.
I just
the way I figure, we have like 5 more episodes of Squarin to do. I busted out my content calendar and I was like, oh God.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
A week off.
Well, we usually take the 2 weeks after the bowl game off.
Yeah, so we'll take the second and third week of January off.
But now we can't.
Next year.
But we can't do that now because basketball. We can't.
We can't ever win. That's the thing.
Oh, I mean, can we get some sweets at Texas State? That's what we should have been talking to Johnson about. We have one thing of sweets. We're not getting in them. Can we get more sweets for the alum?
I feel like we should have a legitimate press row. I feel like it's ridiculous we don't have one. That was a good interview with Coach Johnson, though, by the way.
I was. But Chandler Morris, I was not a big fan of him at TCU. I think he's going to get Power 4 offers. I don't know why he would come to Texas State. If he does come to Texas State, I'm not necessarily convinced that it's a huge step up from Jordan McLeod. Jordan was incredible this year.
North Texas people even like him?
North Texas people? Does UNT
did North
people
Texas
like him?
people even like him?
He left, and I didn't see a ton of stuff being like, we really miss this guy.
Oh, boo. Yeah, like nobody cared. So
I don't know. Well,
and his daddy is watching this podcast. My bad.
You are not our daddy.
I am your daddy.
Not our daddy.
But, hey.
Well, look, if he comes, I'll change my tune for sure. If he comes,
I've interviewed Coach Morris before, so shout out. But, yeah, I mean, if he comes, I guess it's crazy. But then immediately the quarterback battle comes back into play.
No, my thing is this. Okay, so he comes. I'm excited for sure. I just don't know why he would come to Texas State when there will be Power 4 offers and he will be making more money. We just did this whole thing with TJ about, NIL, paying players, blah, 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 blah. And he's
that good to leave. He's that good to leave. He's that good to leave and get a Power 4 offer, you think?
I think so.
I think if he was that good to leave, how come they didn't win that many more games than us?
But it's not that he stunk. It's that the team just wasn't winning games. I truly believe that he will get a Power 4 offer somewhere. And it might be it could be one of the new Power 4s because the Pac-12 is coming back.
We'll have Ashley Pickle or Mallory Hartley come on and actually talk about Mean Green because I have no idea what the heck is
wrong what's funny
or right
is
with that team.
I had a bunch of people reach out about UNT being like, can we come on the pod? And I've just ghosted all of them. Yeah. I've ghosted every one of them. Yeah.
I didn't have anybody reach out.
I've had a bunch of people reach out and I'm like, I'm good. Because
I talked to Ashley Pickle. I think she's so cool.
This is the way. Well, yeah, and that's fair. DCTF. I'm more than happy, and I like Ashley. Don't know her personally. Seen the content, like the content. I will say this: if you are reaching out to the pod, we did this a week ago, where people were reaching out to Jacob, talking mean to him, and he crashed out. Talking mean to me, I got no problem with it. But when it comes to scheduling and booking things, the person to reach out to is Jacob Rodriguez. That is the booking agent, producer of the show. Do not reach out to me. I have no say over who comes on and doesn't come on the pod. I do not schedule that. Jacob Rodriguez, J-Rod, at Twitter, does that. Go talk to him. Don't talk to me about that.
Well. I guess a Mexican can own media in America.
I'm telling you, man, you do an incredible job. You got Coach Johnson on. You've got Charles Austin on. This is no tea, no shade. You do a great job with the booking.
This is my motto for next year. I'm starting in a new journal. I was telling Zimmel off of air, but I'm starting like my new year. This year's word was all about care, like self-care, you know? Because
That's not true at all.
it's true, bro.
You didn't care about me at all.
Care for me, bro. I didn't have to care about you. I hope you care about yourself. Anyway, if you're listening to this at home, that was for you. But next year is all about like not limiting my own potential, you know? Because if you think
You
this
feel like you self-sabotage a lot?
a little bit, but if you think this show is good now, just wait until we start trying, brother. That's what I gotta say.
Okay. So the transfer portal.
Sorry, that was a little
Chandler
bit of
Moore-
a Jacob overture.
Chandler Morris is in. You know who's also in? Ishmati.
You know who also
you know
is
who's
in?
also
Our
in?
punter. Does anybody know his
punter.
name? No.
There's a lot of pieces who are in. Now clearly Ishmati is like the bigger story here. I look at this and I say to myself, okay, you're not going to play in the bowl game, allegedly. I think that's kind of what it looks like, right? He hasn't actually said, I'm not playing in the bowl game, but it looks like he's not.
It would appear, for all intents and purposes, if you're in the portal or you've announced the portal, you're probably going to opt out of the bowl game. They're not going to say that because they never say anything about player anything. Have you noticed that? This trend this whole season that I'm losing my mind over?
I want to give Ish all of his flowers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The entire flower shop, because he came from HCU. He was a relatively unknown player, absolutely popped at Texas State. NCAA 25, people were calling and texting us day and night, tweeting at us about how incredible the Texas State offense was, due in part because of how good he is in the video game. This season, took a lion's share of the carries, was another great season in the books, really put Texas State on the map, helped Texas State win their first bowl game in program history. This is a guy, and that entire 2023 team is going to go down in the books as like, okay, this is a very special team. He goes down as one of the most special players to wear the maroon and gold. I am so happy that he came through our lives. I'm so happy he came through San Marcos. And I hope that wherever he goes, he gets paid the biggest amount of NIL money and has the most success. I hope he goes to the NFL and we can do what Ohio State fans do and claim him and go like Ishmati, Texas State running back, like playing in the league. I hope that happens, man, because I love Ishmati. I'm so happy for that guy. And you know, it's sad. It's sad that he's leaving, but I'm so grateful and happy that he came through San Marcos for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, nothing but peace, love, respect to that guy. Friend of the podcast too. We didn't get to interview him, but you know.
Well, he's still good. I think he's in the portal. I'd love to have him and just talk about the Texas State experience. In fact,
but then it gets all murky. It's like, oh,
why not?
who do we go to? You know, like, are we going through him? Are we going through the SID?
I'd go to him.
I try not to touch things like that because it creates a different relationship with the athletic administration. And so that's why we interview the people that we do, because those are safe. And those are things that we can get that is fine, and it won't limit our access in the future.
Ish, if you want to come on the pod ever, call me. I would actually, you know what's funny? We just talked about how I'm not the booking agent. Ish, if you wanna come on the pod, call me and we'll get you on, buddy.
It's funny because like when we were doing this podcast in college, it was called a different name, Cats Got Our Tongues, but it's basically the same idea for this show. But I think I reached out to Alex Peacock, and he just ghosted me. Now, Hey, we got Peacock in 2 years. So
the cock is coming.
So if we don't get him now, we'll get him later. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where he goes, where a lot of people go.
Well, let's talk about the rest of them, because I want
to.
We can go through the list. Texas State football.
Oh, you're using somebody else's list? What is this? Another
Transfer
MySA article you're going to bust out?
No, I'm going to pull up the transfer portal official website.
There's not an official website for that.
Yeah.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is.
I guarantee you're not going to pull up anything.
I'm telling you, it's the 2025. It's on 3.
That's
because they have to go through, but they have to go through the NCAA website.
No, I understand.
So on 3, just
that's not. You know what I'm saying? You're not like going through the transfer portal when you're doing this. You're like going through a database that's fed through the NCAA, which is like dirty data, in my opinion.
All right, cool. So, am I right or am I right that this is the people who are leaving?
Who do you got?
Oh, okay. Now he's interested. All right.
Yeah, who do you got? We'll see.
Dominique Ratcliffe, defensive lineman, jumped in the portal today. Brandon Frankie jumped in the portal today. Ish Mahdi, Langston Anderson, Alex Harkey, PJ Hatter jumped in the portal. RJ Martinez jumped in the portal. Joshua Eaton jumped in the portal.
So these all say that these guys jumped in the portal yesterday
Yeah.
or the day before.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Josh Eaton, RJ, PJ, Alex, Ishmati. Everybody else I really didn't know, to be honest with you.
So I don't quite understand why you're upset about this, because it feels like this is the information that we need to give on this pod.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No. I think that's pretty accurate though. That counts.
As of recording, there's 9 guys in the portal.
That we know of. Yeah. That we know of and that On3 knows of.
And Ben Bell, who has just been in the portal this entire year, who is just sitting there.
Okay, so if he was in the portal though, we would see him on this list, I guess.
He's not officially in the portal, but according to the reporting of one Chef Chardello, he is very much in the portal. So
he said that? Kev said
he tweeted yesterday that he's making a decision.
Really? Oh, that he's making a decision?
He has been in the portal this whole year. Let's not jump. What are we talking about here?
What are you saying?
I am saying that according to Kev's reporting, he's making a decision. But let's be frank. If he wasn't, if there was any shot of him actually coming back, we would know. He would have already been injury redshirted.
Fair.
That's a guy.
I'm just catching. Unofficial Edge Ben Bell. Hearing Bell hasn't entered the portal yet. Still confidence in the building they can bring him back. Maybe even play in the bowl. Okay,
that's not happening.
If he plays, that's why I wanted to get this tweet to see what Kev said, because you always give me the abridged version of everything.
Yeah.
So Kev, for everybody who tweeted this a day ago. We're recording this on Tuesday, so he tweeted this on Monday. RJ, Hatter, Eaton, AJ Edwards, who is not on this list actually. Alonzo Edwards Jr. I don't think he's on there. Wow. So see, this isn't even like in full. So haha. That's why I don't trust this shit.
So what would you do? How would you figure it out?
I would just go through Twitter and see who's put one of those.
See, there's no way that's a better way to do things.
It is a better way because you're going off of what the athlete is saying. Like
there's no way that's a better way to do things.
I'm certain it is.
I stand on that.
Well, because you're asking for like NIL agents, the NCAA to confirm like On3's thing. Like that's how they get this data. It's not like manually fed. It's like, oh, this is his portal number. He's right here. This is his portal number. He's right here. But the other way is, if a guy says he's leaving the team, he's probably leaving the team.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because if he's posting on social media and saying, appreciate GJ Kinney, appreciate the football staff, that relationship's probably already not too good.
Well, yeah, that's a fair point. But also they could come back.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Anyway, all this to say, right? Kev tweets this, unofficial, Edge, Ben Bell. Hearing Bell hasn't entered the portal yet, still confidence in the building, they can bring him back. Maybe even play in the bowl. I brought this up to you last week. Actually.
Yes.
What if Ben Bell played in the bowl?
I'm so upset. Do not play in the bowl game.
Ridiculous.
Do not play in the bowl game.
But is he a Hall of Fame Bobcat after that?
If he leaves, no.
Just through the allegations?
No.
Burns his year of eligibility on the bowl game?
No.
And we
don't
win
do
the
it.
game? We win the second bowl?
Don't do it. Don't do it. No. Bad idea. And I want to juxtapose that.
What a crazy if.
Look, if you are injured, don't play. Don't play if you're injured. I'm not saying he should play if he's injured. But tell us, give us some insight on what's going on, either from the athletic department or from Ben Bell. And this entire year has been covered in shade and controversy. And now, instead of having any sort of a semblance of an idea of what's going on, we have no idea. And we have this idea
and I want to put this blame solely on the athletics department because the head coach, the way that the SIDs explained it to me, has expressed ability to be like, these are the people that are playing, these are the people that are not, which is why for literally a month and a half, I was asking the damn Ben Bell question because nobody else wanted to. because that was the only way that they were going to tell me whether or not he was going to play or not. And as you'll remember, through all those recordings, they really didn't even tell me whether or not that was going to happen the entire time. So it's like, what's even the point of doing that, or having that practice, or doing
The
anything
song and
really
dance
that we've done?
It literally is the mechanism of, we're not going to tell you, you're going to ask, we're not going to tell you, and then we do the whole song and dance again the next week. So I like Ben Bell.
It's frustrating.
I liked Ben Bell at the spring game. He was a nice dude. He was
injured
sideline.
though. He was injured.
Yeah, no, exactly. We saw him on the sideline. He was
We had some questions there, but we were like, you know what? Ben Bell's a gamer. He played the first 3 games. We don't see him at Sam Houston. We're like, oh, what's going on?
I like Ben Bell as a person, genuinely. This whole season has been a big issue. But then you think to yourself, like, is Ben Bell the reason that we go 7? Probably not. I don't think he's the reason that we lost games.
I think if he does play, we do win one more. We're an 8-4 team as opposed to being a 7-5 team.
I don't know.
I think we win Sam Houston. I think he's a guy that guys rally around, and that defense would have had some more momentum in that game, prospectively speaking. But there were
moments. How do you feel about
Leftwich?
So since recording,
true. My bad.
Leftwich has left
because we didn't even address it last week. I kind of had like an Easter egg in there for everybody who follows us on Twitter at Squarin Pod.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess could be the Mac Leftwich obit too.
I'm gonna miss him. He's gonna be a head coach someday, somewhere. I just hope he's not a head coach of a team that beats Texas State. But otherwise, I think that he was masterful. I talked to Texas Tech fans this week on Twitter who were asking, like, what do you know? What do you think? I was saying that Leftwich is a really good dude.
Hey, everybody's DMing you, huh? You get a lot of fan mail these days.
If you give him players, he can really rally around him. Not rally. He can take dudes. This is the way I put it, is that he can take dudes who are
How did you put it? Because you're having a hard time doing it.
If you can take dudes who were C plus, B minus, and make them B plus, A minus. I think that's what he did at Texas State. I think that's what he's going to do at Tech, but he's going to have better players. And if it doesn't work out, that staff is going to get canned because Joey McGuire is a pretty good head coach. He just hasn't won some games at Tech, and we'll see how that goes.
First, coach to take him to 3 consecutive bowl games in a row, I think, which is really? It took that long for Tech to do that? Whatever.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't. It had to be the first one since the Leach.
I don't know. I thought I saw some random stat like that, and that's exactly what I thought too. I was like, wait a minute. Wasn't there a legend around back in the day?
Yeah, it had to be Mike Leach. It was the last. It had to be since Mike Leach. But even then, that seems kind of suspect.
I don't know. The way that they do business over there, shout out Mike Leach, is shady sometimes. So who knows?
Why are you shouting out Mike Leach for that?
Shout out Mike Leach. God bless the dead.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Anyway, what the hell are we talking about?
So, yeah, Leach is the last one to take them to consecutive bowl appearances.
Well, 3 or more than how many? Because 3 was the number I saw for Joey McGuire.
Yeah, it's 3. Yeah.
There you go.
Because, yeah.
So this will be year 4 for Joey McGuire, so he's making history over there.
Nope, this is the 3rd year.
Oh, this is the 3rd? Damn.
This is the 3rd year. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Tommy Tuberville. He only got 2 years. Yeah, he got two
Tell you what
years
Mac Leftwich is going to coach. Once this UNT job opens up.
Honestly, you say that kind of jokingly, but yeah, that he totally could. He totally could become a head coach. That'd be wild though if he became a head coach at UNT.
Well, and
according to Craven, we are 2 years away from the Power Four completely splitting from the rest of college football and having their own little league. And could you imagine being UNT in Denton, where SMU made the jump, right? They're the school of Dallas. TCU's the school of Fort Worth. And now you're just kind of a satellite school playing in a completely different league. You're never going to get any Dallas Fort Worth athletes at that level. You're just not. So that sucks. And Tech is going to be recruiting there too. UNT would wither and die. That would be a tough job to have.
I can't wait to talk to Ashley Pickle on her thoughts on this, actually. So I'm looking forward to that episode. I'll book it. in the future. But we're obviously, I told you guys we have like 5 more episodes of Squaring Around, so I got to do some strategic thinking about
So
what I'm going to have all these people on.
who do we get for OC? Is it Morris now? Is it OC?
That's what the rumblings are, but I don't know. Not sure.
Have I done my Eric Bieniemy take yet here?
No.
I
No, because we didn't even say it last week because we did the recording on Tuesday.
I don't think Bieniemy comes to Texas State. I just think that the people who were really going hard at me about him not coming to Texas State are insane. That you wouldn't want a Super Bowl winning coach on staff, even if it's not the OC. You don't want him as an analyst. I understand that GJ got a contract extension and is going to get paid more money. I think some of that money goes to the coaches, right? Like the coaching pool.
Yeah,
I'm waiting to pay coaches.
I'm waiting to figure out exactly how much that dollar amount is. But a tidbit that I found in GJ's contract, which I still am not going to post the PDF for because everything I do is so easy, anybody can do it. But in a subsection of GJ's contract, Texas State shall make reasonable efforts to provide an annual salary pool allotment for the 10 full-time assistant coaches and football support staff members. That is, at a minimum, in the top 4 of the Sun Belt Conference.
Wow.
I think we're already top 3 by last year's numbers, but I'm still waiting to get this year's. So
that's not bad. I still stand on this take. If I ever hit the lottery, brother, we're eating good. Have fun.
Where does your money go? To the support staff or to the players, though?
Oh, I'm 100% taking the staff out to dinner.
Because I would be like, okay, who are the returners that we could keep but are thinking of going somewhere else? Let's keep them in town.
No.
We're going to own Chimmy's.
I will, dude. I would say that. 100%. A restaurant in San Marcos. You own a restaurant in San Marcos.
You got to take over somewhere successful. You can't start your own deal.
Why not?
No, I would want to take over something iconic. I would, owning Melu's? Shout out.
No, because you need good food. I'm not just buying a bar.
The game phase, bro?
I'm just buying a bar. What's wrong with you? No, I would want a Chimmy's or I'd want like a...
I don't know if I'd like Chimmy's because it's a chain, I want something a little bit more local than that.
Industry?
Well, that'd be fire.
Buy Industry and just shut it down on like Thursday nights for
Valentino's,
staff.
Shout out.
That might be the move.
Herbert's. It's like, why do I have to own the Mexican restaurant? In my own fantasy, why do I have to own
That's crazy, yeah. That would be another good place. So you shut it down and you just have like the, football team come in and eat.
They already do that on their own.
But that's what I'm saying. Well, they don't shut the restaurant down for them, do they?
No, they don't. No.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of it. You'd want like a nice spot. You know what I mean? You'd want like
cellar.
That's why I'm saying that that's why I'm saying the Industry makes sense because it's kind of like a little bit off the way, And the other reason that you do something like that, so you have the football team come in, they have like a meal or whatever on a Thursday night. You also bring the boosters in, and that's like for football. That's your football night. The boosters, the big money donors are coming in, rubbing some shoulders with some guys, talking to coaches about strategy. They're smiling and nodding, taking money under the table. That's the way you do it, man. That's the way you do it.
GJ, by the way, is getting paid like $500,000 this first year of this contract just to do that, just to nod while boosters are talking and do media appearances like our show.
Now, speaking of boosters, Mr. Journalist, Jacob the journalist here, what are you putting your money towards?
Oh, baseball. Yeah. I'm buying a table at their leadoff dinner for Squarin. So
yeah, not totally crossing the line of like the fourth estate for sure.
How is that crossing the line?
Well, how can you be a journalist and pay money to the school? I don't claim to be a journalist. I claim to just be a blowhard.
Well, here's the thing. I cover the team. I went to school there, so I already paid money to Texas State. So the lines are already blurred,
Really? I feel like that's like
They trained me to do this.
Let me tell you.
This is the fruits of their labor.
I feel like that is a stretch. That is like I'm justified to do this thing because I went to school there.
Well, also, I covered the
Syracuse?
Team. I enjoy it. I also went to softball's dinner last year. I invited you. You didn't want to go. That's on you.
Was I even
You don't
here?
want to be in these. You don't want to be on these donor circles. Yeah, you were here in December last year, bro. They had their deal in.
I drove
April.
down the 23rd. Yeah, that's true.
Of December. Oh, give me a break. Yeah. You were here in April. Yeah. Oh God, cry me a river, Andrew.
Where was I? Why did I go to that?
I wanted to go to baseball's leadoff dinner last year, but I had a conflict. Oh, I had a wedding that week. It's in February, usually every year. Oh my God. If the Austin Marathon is the same day as their lead-in or lead-off dinner, I'm going to cry.
You can do both. You can do both.
Yeah, I hope I can.
Well, this is a good spot
But
to
I
talk
do.
about
I'm
your
going to buy a
marathon.
table for Steve Trout and the baseball team. I like the baseball team. All right.
Yeah.
What do I put a lot of my money and effort and time into? Football. All right. So if I'm not a football donor, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Tennis.
We had Johnson on. Congratulations, Jacob, for the marathon. I want to say I was very proud of you. It was a good time. Put the photo of you smoking a cig right here. The factory reset on the lungs. I was very impressed. I was kicking myself later because there was a St. Jude's tent that was like right next to us that I could have got an angle with of them smoking next to the St. Jude's tent.
You're slowly getting better at photography. Still a little grainy. Still a little out of focus.
The other thing is that we had the medical one right next to us, which was kind of crazy too. And those guys were judging you very harshly for smoking a cigarette next to the medical tent.
Oh yeah. No, we were getting stares. But you know what? Hey, what are you gonna do?
I think you picking up the butts too. You rubbed them out in the ground and picked them up. I think that was like, oh, okay, they're not bad guys.
We got a couple of extra points for that one.
I know. The teammate grade.
We saw
took a
some
bad
violence
hit.
downtown too.
We did, San Antonio. So funny enough, we had this conversation a couple months ago about how safe or unsafe San Antonio was. And I was like, it's 100% a safe city. Well, Jacob, we might be wrong. I might be willing to retract that statement. Watching the domestic violence that I saw unfold on Sunday. Look, if you're gonna beat up on your boyfriend, maybe don't do it in broad daylight. It was a tough look. I was willing to help the guy though. So
anyway, I know we talked about a lot. I'm gonna have my hands full censoring myself on this podcast and also figuring out how to stack this in the show. So I don't even know if this is gonna come out the way I think it's gonna come out. But a lot of things going on in Bobcat world. Maybe some more people jump in the transfer portal.
6.5 hours later.
Justin, reports are Texas State edge Ben Bell has entered the transfer portal.
Maybe some more moves made on our end too.
Can I slip some breaking news in here?
Yeah, what do you got?
Bill Belichick has agreed to become the next head coach of North Carolina, UNC.
They go from one legend, Mac Brown, to another.
They went a lot younger, 73 to 72.
Dang. He did it. Did he do it for the old ladies over there?
I guess so. His current girlfriend could be a grad student there. So allegedly he's going to take the job and then hand it off to his son in like 2 years. But that's to be the head coach of UNC seems like a head scratcher.
Isn't he a DC in the league though? Isn't he a DC in the league?
He's a DC at Washington.
Oh,
not Commanders. Huskies. Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of cool. Whatever.
Nepotism.
Look at we're in true off-season form already for football. If they would just play this damn game already.
Can I ask you a question? So you have a youngest brother, right?
I do. Yeah. There's a 13-year age difference between us.
13 year. All right. So if you did this podcast 2 more years and handed it off to him, what would that look like?
In 2 more years, he would be a sophomore in college or in high school.
Just hand off the pod, have him
high
host.
School? He didn't even know he was going to be a Bobcat.
We can convince him, I think. So what do you say? So when he goes into, let's say he goes to Texas State, goes to college, hand off the pod, just be like, hey, here's Squaring Around.
Why would I give him my podcast?
Why would Bill Belichick give the program to his son? It doesn't make any sense.
You were trying to goat me into that? Why would I
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I see your roundabout. I accused you this weekend of being a bad improv partner. I stand by that. I don't think you're.
I think I'm a great. I say yes and all the time. What are you talking about?
I don't think you say yes and enough.
All right. Okay. And
there you go. See? You didn't do it at first. I did the old Andrew Zimmel routine on you.
I don't know. I don't need an improv partner. I do this stuff solo all the time, bro. I be asking the board out, hey, what do you think about this? And they're not even paying attention. It's like, cool. All right, next up. Yep. On the phone line.
That's me with EPs. I'm like, hey, did you see this thing I did last night? They're like, I'm like, oh, thanks.
Sweet. Cool beans.
All right. I'm sorry. We're rambling.
my photo was just as good as the photo that Maddie took.
What photo did Maddie take?
Of the three of us?
Oh, no, that one was way better. Have you seen them side by side?
Thanks for squaring, everybody.
It's
the
true.
photo was fine.
Side by side? Are you joking, bro?
I'm not even kidding. It looks the same. It looks the exact same.
This is out of focus. You can't even tell.
It looks the exact same.
Meanwhile, this is like in 4K.
All right. I think they look the same. Maybe it's me.
Okay, well, obviously you're not even looking at the picture.
I did. I looked at both the photos.
Look, I'm going to send you both of these raw images. And you decide for me what is clear and what is unclear.
They look the same. It's not like one's clear, one's unclear. They're the same photo.
This is why you're not on TV, buddy. You don't have this keen eye, this eagle eye that I've developed over the years of learning when something is dog shit quality. Look, Tristan's thing is blurry. You can see the blur lines on his hand. No, look, on his hand. God. You can see is he going that fast? Is he breaking the speed of sound in that picture?
They're the same quality of photo. I don't know what you're doing.
They're not.
All right.
Thanks for squaring, everybody.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.